All right, number 4 on our list is a player that we've disparaged at points, you especially on this podcast in the past, but, let's keep it going. Tyler Lockett. What's the issue with Tyler Lockett? Going as the wide receiver 22 on Underdog with an early 5th round price tag, ADP 50.6.
God, I just hate this guy. Okay, that's been a kind of a theme over the last couple of podcasts, is talking about players I hate and why I hate them. But Tyler Lockett, I mean, he's just a virgin beta bitch, all right? And he's not going to be an alpha. He never was. He never is, obviously, with DK Metcalf there as well. And if we're just, not talking about him as a person, if we're just looking at his stats, he hasn't had a season where he's gone over 1,057 yards. That's his career high. Tyler Lockett had 10 out of 16 games last season with 12.7 points or less in PPR. If you were drafting him last year, yeah, you were hyped that he was scoring the 53-pointers and the 37-point games. But for a majority of the season, he was an L. And if you rostered him last season, your team's probably lost and didn't win any money. And that's just what it comes down to with Tyler Lockett. I feel like he is a boom or bust wide receiver at this point in his career. Obviously, he's in a good situation with Russ and not much behind Tyler Lockett in terms of receiving options. But they did draft Dwayne Eskridge. They added Gerald Everett. So there is a little bit more competition for targets. And with Tyler Lockett, I mean, God, I just don't want any part of him if you have to take him in the early 5th round as a wide receiver 2. And I would put my money on Tyler Lockett as a guy that finished as a wide receiver 1 in 2020, but not finishing as a wide receiver even 2 in 2021. I think there's going to be a drastic fall off with Tyler Lockett this year.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. He's coming off of a great year. You can't deny it. Career high in targets and receptions. His first season with 100 receptions, and he had 10 touchdowns for the second time in his career as well. But the yards per reception was the lowest it's ever been. He's the least efficient. His career average in yards per reception from 2015 to 2019 was 13.94. It was over 3 yards lower at 10.5 last year. To your point about him being boom or bust, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, right? Especially in best ball, we want those boom weeks, and there aren't that many players. There aren't that many players, period, in the NFL who have 20 target games in their range of outcomes. Like, that's something that we see maybe once, maybe twice per year, and Lockett did it. Week 7, 15 receptions on 20 targets for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, absolutely smashed. But those 53 fantasy points accounted for 19.96% of all of his fantasy production through 16 games. Call it 20% in one game. And if that's what you're paying for, I would rather get that later. Let me get Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle or Will Fuller or DJ Chark. All of these guys are going much later, and I think offer that same similar sort of boom or bust quality without the price tag. And that's really what it comes down to. Tyler Lockett is a guy who should be being drafted in like the Jarvis Landry range, not in the Jamar Chase, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Robert Woods tier. It's just, he's in the wrong tier in terms of ADP.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're interested in hearing the full conversation, you could go down below in the description where we have links to the DFS Dose podcast on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and then we're also on some other podcast sites. So make sure you go ahead and check out the full episode that this conversation was a part of. Subscribe to the channel if you want to help us out. We're at like 167 subscribers or something like that. So help us reach 200. And then you can also leave a like on the video. Those are just some ways to help us out, help us grow. So let us know down below what type of content you want to see out of us. And if you guys want to continue hearing these clips from the conversations on the podcast. So let us know down below in the comments. But thanks again, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you. Have a good day. Thank you.